Job hunting or even changing careers can be a tricky process, and unfortunately there is not a standard recipe to use. I'm joined now by Angelique Robbertse, Job Mail Product and Marketing Manager, who'll be sharing her advice on finding jobs at different stages of your life. Welcome.
Thank you.
So we all know it's getting harder for graduates to find jobs, that only 40% of graduates actually find work in their first year after graduation. What advice would you have for new graduates?
Well, I think everybody's got a Facebook page these days, but I think the first place to start would be to make sure that you have social profiles. Facebook, LinkedIn, Twitter, Instagram, you know, everything's going social these days. So make sure you've got a proper profile, it's professional, and that the profile actually states who you are as a person. You obviously haven't gotten experience yet, so it's more about telling them who you are, what your strengths are, and how you are going to make a difference.
And what advice would you have for people that are looking for a career change, who may be working in one field for a number of years but are now looking to do something different?
I think that's a little bit more trickier because obviously you've grown in your expertise. So to change into a field, try and keep it in the similar field because those are the expertise that's going to help you get a new job. But if you do want to change into something else, make sure you have knowledge of the industry, of the company, and make sure, I think, in the terms of if you don't really have the expertise, make sure that it's a passion, because sometimes passion actually helps you find the job better than what experience and expertise does.
Now, sometimes you'll have people who leave the workforce, maybe to look after kids at home, or maybe they've retired and then actually decide that they'd like to carry on working. How should these people look at re-entering the workforce again?
I think first of all they have to obviously update their skills, learn a bit more, maybe do a course or two, just to sort of freshen up their skills and make sure that they're on the same playing field as everybody else. Especially with people that have retired, maybe go into a consultative business. You know, a lot of people don't want to hire you if you're close to the age of retirement. So consultancy, maybe temping a bit. There's a lot of information out there on the social platforms, and I think if you stay abreast of everything throughout those years that you aren't in the field, it will help you. It will definitely be easier and help you get into that market.
Now, what do you think are the biggest myths that people believe in terms of finding jobs? What are the mistakes that you see people making over and over?
I think that's a topic that, you know, we could talk for a long time. But some of the myths, for example, what happens on Facebook stays on Facebook. If I do something silly on Facebook while I'm job hunting, no one's going to know about it. Certainly not. It's definitely what happens on Facebook stays on Twitter, Instagram, everything. So people need to make sure that they keep it professional. Another thing is the traditional CV, or faxing your CV or bulk sending it everywhere. It doesn't work that way anymore. I want to know, as a business, I want to know why you're applying for my job. What can you do for me? So you can't just send your CV randomly out to 50 different contacts. You've got to send them individually to them, saying, this is why I'm applying for your job at your company. It's difficult out there, it really is. So people think, okay, I've gone for an interview, they've called me for a second interview, I've got the job. It doesn't work that way. You know, it's a lot of hard work, it's a lot of persistence, but it does pay off at the end. If you do things right, if you stay proactive, you'll get there.
So to what extent is it about setting yourself apart from the other candidates?
I think anything you can do to set yourselves apart from your CV. For example, just people get CVs, hundreds of CVs daily, so make sure it's a bit different. Make sure it shows a bit of your personality. Social, be online. You know, people notice people online. So, for example, you could join forums online, participate. Participation is going to make you stand out from everyone else, even if it's in, for example, in volunteering with animals or anything like that. If you stand out in any way, you will get noticed because everything stays online. So what will happen is if a company wants to do your reference checks, the last thing they're going to do is phone your references. The first thing they're going to do is they're going to Google your name. So anything you do, make sure it's professional and make sure it's going to help your end goal, which is to find a job.
And do you think that people perhaps put a lot of that effort into, for example, putting together their CVs but can't carry it through at the job interview stage?
Yeah, look, a lot of people are nervous at the interviews. There's also a misconception that if I learn these questions, I'm going to ace the interview. There isn't such a thing as interview questions anymore. I think the best thing they can do is they can be honest, they can show their passion, and if it's a job that they're meant to do, if that's the field that they should be in, they'll do well. And a person doing the interview will see that they're nervous, but they do have what I'm looking for.
Great, well thank you so much for sharing your insights today.
Thanks for having me.
That's Angelique Robbertse, the Jobmail's Product and Marketing Manager.